Coming up in today's episode of The Play, good evening Oklahoma, I'm Dave Morris. Local concerns about a fast-track program for future doctors, an offering for budding artists and families on Film Row, and how much longer will these mild temperatures hang around? But first, a federal judge struck down Oklahoma's ban on same-sex marriage as unconstitutional on Tuesday. Despite the ruling, it could be more than a year before same-sex marriages are allowed in Oklahoma, and only then if the U.S. Supreme Court upholds the principle that same-sex couples can't be discriminated against by states. Our man in Washington, Chris Castile, spoke about the various scenarios surrounding the case.
There was a case in Utah in December, almost identical really, to Oklahoma's case, where a federal judge overturned that state's ban on same-sex marriage. They actually passed it overwhelmingly the same year that Oklahoma passed it. That case has already gone to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver. There was a period there, I think it was a little more than 2 weeks, where same-sex couples in Utah were allowed to marry.
It seems like they rushed out and started the process, right?
They absolutely did. And the Supreme Court, and the judge there would not put a hold on his own ruling. The U.S. Supreme Court ultimately did last week, put a hold on his ruling while the 10th Circuit hears this case, the Utah case. So now you've got, yesterday, the Oklahoma judge, federal judge in Tulsa, basically doing the same thing as the Utah judge. We've got a similar case, and it presumably is now going to go to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals.
And that was Chris Castile via Skype earlier today. You can watch that video in its entirety online at newsok.com. Religion editor Carla Hinton spoke to several religious leaders in the metro about their reactions to the ruling. You can read the full story, along with Chris Castile's articles, in Thursday's Oklahoman. There are a number of schools across the country offering fast-track programs. And now some medical schools are following suit. The colleges experimenting with the idea are hoping to produce doctors more quickly and also reduce the amount of debt for young medical students. However, the executive dean of the University of Oklahoma College of Medicine questions whether a fast-track program could force young doctors to make quick career decisions.
There are consequences that have to be considered. One is that these students would probably have to go year-round in order to get everything in 3 years, rather than having a summer break after their first and second year. Secondly, it will force them to make career decisions very early in their medical education, which they may not be prepared to do. And thirdly, it's not easy to change those career decisions because of a national matching program for residency positions.
Our Catherine McNutt is working on that story. The premiere festival on Film Row will take on the added attraction of a pop-up children's museum at IAO Gallery late January and late February. Premiere takes place every third Friday of each month. Organizers hope the Urban Children's Museum will attract more families and inspire young participants. Steve Lackmeyer will examine how this festival is helping bring life to the one-time Skid Row that's coming up in upcoming editions of the Oklahoman. In sports, Reggie Jackson has been thrown into the fire with Russell Westbrook sidelined. And while he's performed admirably, he's showing signs he's capable of carrying the load on the offensive end, but his defense has become a cause for concern. Opposing guards have gone right at Jackson over the past 10 games. The majority of them have had their way. Darnell Mayberry looks at that in tomorrow's editions of the Oklahoman. In weather, the mild temperatures we've been enjoying these past few days, well, they could continue through the early part of next week. Forecasters predict temperatures will remain in the 50s through Saturday. You might even see highs in the 60s on Sunday. That'll do it for this episode of The Play. These stories and more can be found in upcoming editions of the Oklahoman and on the website you're looking at probably right now, newsok.com. Have a great Wednesday evening, everyone.